Against the backdrop of global protests, representatives from across the world are gathered at the COP42 climate conference. They plan to vote whether to raise the temperature ceiling by 2 degrees in the interest of corporations or to deny the proposal and grant relief to a climate that is already suffering. Facing famine in his country and others, Algerian Representative Omar requests that his European counterparts help him gain access to a patented technology that purifies water. Billionaire tycoon Nick Bilton owns these patents. He has plans to build a casino in the Arctic Circle. It is in his interest that the proposal passes so that he can begin construction. Ben Zucker is a manufacturing billionaire with great influence. He has employed Junior to close the deal with Bilton on the construction of the casino. Junior has to navigate around various obstacles to succeed: political, diplomatic, financial, and societal obstacles. Him having a sister that works for the State Department in the United States helps a lot. We also have a story of Zucker's son, Marshall, an aspiring rabbi. Zucker has arranged for him to head up a temple in Miami, but Marshall wants to travel on his own path. His father gives him a lesson how power and influence works. Rebecca, an animal conservation researcher, gets caught in a wildfire. She has to be rescued and transported to a hospital as she's about to have her child. Her husband, Omar, has to leave in the middle of the COP42 conference to be with her. He tells the Pakistani rep, Lena, that she can have his vote since they're on the same page. Omar and Rebecca's baby is born with complications. Rebecca questions whether her world saving came at the cost of her baby's health. Bilton weighs the pluses and minuses of giving away his patents. It would cost him $2.7 billion in future earnings. Junior visits the island that Bilton's casino will be built. To his surprise, there's an unsightly Chinese copper mine adjacent to the island. Knowing that negotiations with the Chinese will go nowhere, he gets on the phone with his sister. Given the breakdown of the climate, Bilton has figured out that batteries will play a huge part of the future. The base metals necessary to build these batteries are in abundance in the Arctic Circle. Bilton wasn't pushing for the temperature ceiling to be raised to build a casino in the Arctic. His real objective was to clear a path for drilling in the Arctic for these resources. Eventually, Junior figures out that this was the real objective too. He realizes that he was being used by Bilton for influential purposes. In a strange twist, Junior ends up getting killed by our protective mama warriors on the island. Omar checks in with Lena on the votes at the COP42. She tells him that she mortgaged the future for the present. They gave Bilton everything he wanted and more. A green light to drill in the Arctic, restricted usage of his patents, plus a 2.3 raising of the temperature ceiling. Bilton wins, the world's climate loses. Hooray money. 9 years later, we catch up with Rebecca, the pregnant researcher from episode 1. The world has gone from one messed up normal to a new messed up normal. Her son is a victim of this new normal. He suffers from summer heart. Extreme heat days, also called EHD, puts his life at risk on a day-to-day basis. Rebecca is now working for Menagerie. It's a genome corporation that's studying animal behavior. Their plan is to collect animal DNA and research behavior on animals before they go extinct. Then, once the climate restabilizes, they plan on reintroducing these species back to the planet. Rebecca's current assignment is to collect information on the last known humpback whale. Rebecca checks in with her competition, a company called Tomorrow Zero. While sharing a concern for the whale, they are also in a race to gather information before the whale goes extinct. Rebecca communicates with the whale, a mature female humpback. There are pods in the water that take the vocal vibrations of the whale, passes them through some sort of Google Translate, and then out comes the English translation. The whale has lost all hope as it sees very few fish in the ocean to eat, much less another humpback whale to mate with. Rebecca tells her not to give up because she's been tracking the sounds of a male humpback recently. Rebecca reports back to her bosses. The humpback is going hungry. Well, her bosses are in the money-making business, not the whale-feeding business. Speaking of business, Nick Bilton makes an appearance. His company Alpha is interested in partnering and possibly buying Menagerie. Rebecca's bosses figure that if they can wrap up exclusive data on the humpback, their company will be a lot more attractive to Bilton. They visit Rebecca and tell her that the gig is up. It's time to analyze all data and deliver the research findings. Rebecca asks them to give her more time as she's tracking a male humpback and they may be able to save the species. Her boss informs her that there is no male humpback. What she's been tracking was just a tape that he's been playing on loop. Rebecca is devastated. She has one last conversation with the whale. She lets her know that she's the last of a dying breed. The humpback decides that maybe it's time to close the curtains. Rebecca's managers planned on sending her off to Alaska to research the shrinking wolf population. On the bright side, Rebecca didn't get fired. Plus, her son won't have to deal with any more extreme heat days. The last scene is the two of them watching the humpback for the final time. Per his dad's advice, Marshall is now rabbi of Temple Israel in Miami, drowning Miami. Marshall is at the Department of Sea Level Mitigation to request assistance for his temple. This department decides which structures get flood assistance. Marshall makes his pitch to an unreceptive crowd. We meet the Goldblatt family, Father Harris and his daughter Alana. Alana comes on the screen like a house on fire. Sass, wit, contempt, anger, fury, a real piece of work. There are new members to Marshall's temple. This temple is knee-deep in water. Another foot and it could be a swimming pool. After the service, Marshall meets up with the family. Alana comes in unblocked with the hot questions about God's place in all of this suffering caused from the climate change. Marshall's explanations give her no peace. Existentialism would be the perfect study for Alana. I think Nietzsche, Sartre, and Camus would have a ball with her. And yes, I know I probably mispronounced every one of those names. After being denied for government assistance, the future of Marshall's temple is looking bleak. One afternoon, his prayer is interrupted by the plumber Julia. This is no ordinary plumber. Julia's quite easy on the eyes. The previous night, Marshall's mom had questioned him when he was going to find a woman. God works in mysterious ways, right? Harris's dad goes to visit Marshall. He tells him that if he wants to get help, especially from government officials, he's going to need to grease some palms. He tells him that his son Harris can help him with that. Marshall reluctantly agrees. I guess he recalled the words of his father in episode 1 about how the world really operates on influence and power. So, money talks and BS walks on water. The council has a change of heart and grants assistance to the temple. However, the money for this assistance was previously allocated to help the homeless community in the neighborhood. After this one homeless cat confronts Marshall, Alana is looking at him like, "So, you corrupt too, huh?" Marshall goes to Harris about the damage caused, but Harris couldn't care less about the homeless. Well, call it karma or whatever, but Harris gets the old 1, 2, 3. His father passes away. He gets arrested by the FBI for bribing the Mitigation Council. And to finish off the old hat trick, Alana takes public stage in the temple and confesses that it was she who tipped off the FBI about her dad's crimes. Alana is the knock at the door. Marshall resigns. We see Julia and him at a shelter serving the homeless. Guess who shows up? Alana. She still wants answers about why God is causing or allowing all of this destruction and pain. Marshall shuffles his words around, but pretty much tells her it's a God thing. You wouldn't understand. Well, I guess Alana said that answer is acceptable. She joins him in serving the homeless. The first episode was good but somewhat confusing. It's a lot of characters to track in just 1 hour. The second episode was a swing and a miss. It had the firepower of Meryl Streep, but she was underused. Plus, the plot never really peaked. The third episode was probably the best of the three, and it was because of Alana. I'm afraid of Alana. I don't really know whether this show is getting better or worse, but I'm in on it.